Hi, welcome back to the third part of the Tableau layout containers tutorial. I thought I'd start this tutorial from a different place, so if you haven't had a chance already, check out part 1 and part 2. You can Google them, just do Tableau layout containers, hit videos, and there's the top 2 right there, or you can go to the Information Lab site, hit search, and you'll find them there. But I thought I'd start from a different place and just look at what people were interested in the last 2 videos. So this is the first one, and essentially I think as you see here, we start playing through. As I started to cover the fundamentals, you guys got quite interested in the details. So you like details. Oops, sorry, I started talking over me there. And then in the second part, again, when I started to talk about, I'm going to mute this, again, this responsive sort of style menu system that I was going to build, again, attention sort of peaked, and then as I started to show you how to do it, sort of dropped off. But maybe that's because you got the idea you wanted, and things were great. So today I'm going to be showing you how to do the following. Here's one I built earlier. I'm going to minimize that. So we're going to build this entirely from scratch, and we're going to start from where we left off in the previous video. Just to walk you through it, we've got a logo here, a nice menu there, some text just to explain maybe what the dashboard is about. We've got an image here which fades into white just so that it sort of doesn't suddenly cut off visually, at least, so it just looks like it's on one dashboard. Then I've got some images here rather than shapes here rather than images, as I did in the previous one, and I've done some basic formatting. The most important thing here is that if you wanted to say go to the global map dashboard, if you just click on that icon, it takes you there. Now one thing you'll notice is that there's no icons here, so it's sort of difficult to go back, but in the video I'll show you how to do that. So yeah, let's get stuck in. The last time I did a layout container video, I left you guys here. So I'm going to keep this open just as a reference, but I'm just going to let you see everything. So I will make mistakes, I'll maybe do things in an inefficient way to start with, then as I sort of get my head back into layout container world, I'll start doing things a bit faster. So pick up whatever tips you can, and as always, leave questions in the comments or get in touch, as many of you have. You like the details, so I will try and walk you through everything. Okay, so here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is just do a recap. So we've got menu options there as text, so these are images, and we want to replace these with shapes. So the first thing I'm probably going to do is create the shapes that should go into here. Now I've already got these particular images. These are just images. If you look at the option here, they are images, so we want to replace these with sheets which have shapes in them, but they'll still be using the PNG images for those shapes. So let's create the first one. Let's call this, I don't know, let's call this global map. So the best way to do this is to essentially create a calculated field that you can then use in the sheet to place an image. So I'm just going to call this home icon, and I always start with a home icon. I'm just going to give that the number 1 and click OK, and it will come up here. I'll make it discrete, and so I can put that there, and then I will create a folder for my icons, and I'll put that straight in there. So we have our first menu icon, and then I'll drag this onto the viz, and we'll get this nice sort of a basic table. Don't even know why I started saying that was nice. There's nothing on the sheet. So anyway, let's go into our shapes, and you can choose whatever shape pack you want. In previous posts I've talked about PyCon's Thin, which is a nice shape pack you can get on the net, and I guess for a home icon it'd be nice if you used a picture of a home. So there we go. I'm going to click apply, and that is our home icon. One thing I'm going to do now is you can't actually color this just yet. If you click a color, it doesn't actually state that color. So what you have to do is you have to put this again on color, and then you can color this, and you can give home a nice big red icon. I don't know, actually let's not give home red, let's give it blue, something a bit more welcoming. as homes usually are. So, and then let's hide the header. One last step, or last couple of steps, I'm going to format and remove this border you've got around here, and also around the header. And you do that by just going here, column divider pane, none, and you'll see the column divider has disappeared. And you do the same for the rows, and now you have no sort of borders there. So now that's your icon ready to go, except for we're not finished yet because we want to make these really user friendly. So I'm going to say click this icon to go to the home page. Now it doesn't have to be as detailed as that, but that's one quick way to do it. So click this icon to go to the home page. Whilst I'm here, I might as well style this. So I'm going to use light, and I'm going to maybe use a slightly lighter colour because I don't want this to be too imposing, and I'll take off the bold. And maybe actually I should use semi-bold. There we go, that's a little bit better. And I should maybe also make this lighter. I'm really pernickety about these kind of details, and one thing you'll notice is I switched off the include command buttons because I want this just to be a nice clean tooltip. So when someone clicks on that, you get a web-like interaction. When they click, Tableau highlights the shape in black, so it's pretty obvious they've clicked, and they have to click it again to undo it. So that's the home icon done. So I'm just going to rename this and call this home icon. It's useful to name your dashboards accordingly as you go along. And once we've done this now, we can actually just duplicate. I'm going to duplicate the worksheet. I'm going to call this global map. Now, in duplicating it, it's copied across the icon, but we actually, the icon integer that I created here. But I actually want to make sure I have separate ones, so I'm going to duplicate that as well. I'm going to call this global map. And I'm going to drag that in place of home icon. And I can do the same with color. And now the tooltip, I need to change that to say global map. And as you can see, I'm working off the work I've already done from the previous sheet. So I'm not having to recreate sheets or anything or style anything again. I'm just being as efficient as I possibly can. And now the only thing I need to do is change the shape. And this is for a map, so if we look for a map icon in here, I think there's one coming up pretty soon. Here we go. I think that looks like a map. That's a slightly better one than that one, I think. Yeah, let's use that one. Or we could even use a stylistic one, but hey, let's quit fooling around with icons and let's actually build something. So there's a map, and we'll give it a nice faint design there. So again, I'll duplicate this. And maybe I'll call this sales table or something. To be honest, I don't really know what the end result is going to look like, but I'm just showing you the process. So let's duplicate this again. As you duplicate them, drag it straight in there and call this sales icon. And if you do things in this sort of order, you don't sort of forget where you are, and you can very quickly save a lot of time, really. Just although maybe that's a good example of small little, well, I can't, there you go. Don't know what was happening there. Maybe I need a better mouse. So there we go, let's make it slightly larger. This time it's a sales icon, so maybe a basket or some sort of sales oriented icon would be great here. So let's say, oh yeah, this looks good, that's nice, little sales label. And again, we can just change the color. Sales are normally in red, maybe I'll use medium just to make it a little bit bolder. There we go, there's a sales table, and so on and so forth. I'll probably just create one more. I don't want to drag this out for too long, and let's just duplicate that. So we have 4 icons. Let's put that in there. Let's rename this to, I don't know, forecast. I'm literally making these up as I go. I don't need to change what's in them. It doesn't matter what's in them. They're all going to be the same. What matters is that I have separate dimensions for these, so that can use them on the same dashboard easily. And so this one is a forecast, so maybe we want something with a line chart. And as you're probably seeing, this is why I love this icon pack, because I just think up of something rough and there it is. I can very quickly find an icon and associate it with, because it's just right there. It's so expansive, you can't run out of options. Maybe I'll make this the darker variant of that so it stands out a little bit. And there we go, we've got our 4 icons, and I forgot to rename this in my workflow, so let's do that now. Okay, now we've created, if we go back to our reference point, we've created these icons 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've created an additional one which is an information one, but I'll skip that out for now. We'll just focus on these 4 here. And what we essentially need to do is replace these icons with the images that we have here. Okay. Another thing you'll notice is that, or maybe you haven't noticed yet, is there's actually a bit of spacing here to the left and there again, just to give us a bit of space from the edge. And so we need to start applying this sort of whole look. So in this next step, I'm going to bring everything onto the dashboard, including these lines, this logo, this image here, and this text, although this text I'm sure you all know how to do. So first up, bring the blank section there. I'll just put that there, bring it all back in. Perfect, we're done. The next thing I'm going to do is create a horizontal section up top, and in this bit I'm actually going to use layout containers, but I'm not going to color what I'm doing. I'm just going to go for it because I know how layout containers work, so I'm going to have faith in them, and I'm just going to do this blind because, you know, like everyone watching this video, you know how they work. So I'm going to create a horizontal section up top. In that horizontal section I'm going to put a vertical section, okay, and then in that vertical section we are going to have another horizontal section. This sounds crazy, but maybe before I do that, let's just make this easy for ourselves. Let's put a blank area in that vertical section. So there's the top one, there's a second one, and then I'm going to put one more blank area just there. And let's have a look at this, what I've just done here. I think I've probably made a mistake, which is quite typical of this. So there's a horizontal, which should go across all the way to the top. I've got a blank section here, then I've got 2 blanks for the vertical. The reason I put these blank areas is because if you look at this, this section and this section are actually in a vertical. So now what I need to do is in this top horizontal section, where there's currently a blank, I need to put the logo and the text. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll put the horizontal there right in the middle. In there I'll put the image. There's our logo. And to the right of that I'll put the text. So the image is quite big, so we just need to get it to fit. And we need to center it. And you see you've got a blank up top, blank below. We're going to delete the top one, so now it's split equally between the 2. I now no longer need this right one here, so I can delete that, and that takes up the whole space. So again, if I look at that again, the horizontal and the blank below it, and in the blank below I'm going to put some text, and this is going to be placeholder text, and I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to search for some lorem ipsum. Lorem ipsum is a placeholder text, often used when you need to place text into something where you haven't yet got the text, and clearly Google can't find it, which is bizarre. There we go. There's a website dedicated to it, tells you a bit about it, but you can just generate text on demand. So I just need 1 paragraph. And then you just copy that paragraph in. I'm not going to copy all of it, maybe just a few lines. This is a nice way of just, you know, prototyping a dashboard without having to wait for someone for all the content, so you can just get on with it. Lorem ipsum, coincidentally, is also a really good bit of text because it contains, as a spread, good word length, good sentence length, and so on and so forth, and it's got a good number of sort of characters across the I'm going to say alphabet, which sounds obvious, but in font speak it's got a good number of characters across the glyph set. A glyph set is like the different designs for, you know, a full stop, a Q, for example, uppercase, lowercase, fancy Q, not so fancy Q, and so on and so forth. Anyway, brief lesson in design there. I'm gonna then make this all the same text. I made it fainter because I don't like black. Black is quite harsh, so I just like to offset things a bit because, you know, you can still see what's going on. So there we go. We've got our top section there, and now we can remove this blank here. So that's our horizontal, and we can remove the blank section below, and boom, we've got our top section. I'm going to move this back up. I'm going to get rid of this section here, this bit of text describes something, because we no longer need it. And boom. And now what I did was I put this image over here, and I think I gave it even less space. There we go. And now it's starting to look a lot like what we've got there. The only thing different is obviously this is semi-bold 20, so I'm going to save myself some time here just so this video is nice and short for you and just copy stuff across. But this is just a simple font change, just nothing crazy or something that needs a tutorial. So here we are. Now the next thing I'm going to do is put lines in between these, and then I'm going to put an image. Now first thing I'll do is actually put the image here to the right, because that's fairly easy and straightforward. And you'll notice I have two. I'll use this one first because this is actually the first one I brought in. It was huge. It's a royalty-free image from a website called Unsplash. That's over here. Unsplash.com. They have tons and tons and tons of images. Click an image, you get the image. You get the idea. They're all royalty-free, completely royalty-free. Use them wherever you want. No questions asked. It's a great site. And I set it to fit image and center image. And this happens, you get this sort of cut-off effect. What I actually want is for it to go all the way to the edge. And so this image was a bit too tall. I needed something a little bit wider and more square. So I'm actually going to remove this, and you'll see the dashboard goes all the way to the edge because there's nothing there. I'm going to put that again there. And this time I actually just used the tiling functionality. You know, just created a tile there. I didn't put it in any layout container. There's a section there, section at the top, and there's there. So there's two horizontal sections, and I've just tiled this horizontal section with this one in a sort of a weird format. And this time around, I think I've used the right one, but I'm going to center it. So we get this nice sort of fading effect to white. It looks like it's part of the dashboard, and it's slightly more welcoming. I'm going to just give this a little less space, and because of the way I edited the image, it sort of just works. I can't really describe how, but you know, just by rule of some sort of maths that I don't understand, it works. Now the next image I'm going to add are these lines. Now, lines. Tableau doesn't let you set a border on just one side of a particular container. You have to do it on all the borders or none at all. So I came up with this idea of lines. Basically, I created really long lines. They're about 2,000 pixels long or tall, and you can use those to use a border because they're so thin. They take up very little space. I think they're only 2 pixels wide. So if I use line long 2, this is my sort of more faded out variant. They just go there, and it's a pretty neat way of creating nice separation. In web design, you just say border bottom 1 pixel or whatever, but we don't have that option in Tableau just yet. I'm sure the guys are working on some awesome user interface style sheets or something that's going to make this all a doddle. And as you can see here, I'm having a bit of trouble. I need to put this one at the top, but it obviously won't let me do that. So I'm actually going to cheat a bit. I'm going to put it back in the same place, and I'm going to use our layout container skills to isolate the layout container above it and put that in between. Oh, I missed it, so I'm going to try again. I'm going to put it just there. There we go. See? Easy. So now we've used our awesome layout container knowledge to manipulate the way we do things. So instead of just putting it straight there, I couldn't get there straight away, so I put it somewhere else and I just moved something down, and there we go. So now we start to get this very sort of responsive design here, and just to check on how responsive it is, I'm going to minimize that. I'm going to start doing this, and you can see it's actually responsive. Things are changing as I change the layout. It's not quite there yet, but we're getting there. So next up, we're going to finally replace these icons here, and the best way to do this is to leave these in, just so that we can target this space here, which is currently blank. So let's remove those. I always use blank containers just to help me structurally get to places that are typically hard, because once there's a blank container in there, you get these lines on either side of it much easier. I don't know why, it's just the way Tableau works. So that's just the home icon. Let's put that there. Actually, we don't need the home icon on this page, so I'm going to remove it. We just need the global map. We'll need the home icon later. Put the sales table and forecast. So it turns out they're all the same color, and that's probably because I forgot to change this across all of them. So home icon has its own, but these all have global map. Silly me. There you go. There's something I forgot to tell you. So now if you apply these colors, they'll stick. Sorry about that. Actually, just use red on that. Yeah, there we go. Now we go back, we've got different colors. Hurrah! Next thing I'm going to do, hide titles. We don't need the titles. And you notice there's no border around them because we removed those when we were building them. Then I'm just going to tell them to fit the entire view. And you'll notice it goes small, but remember in our second video I said just have faith in what's happening, and what's actually happening here is that Tableau is looking at the images and it's realizing, oh hey, wait a minute, this is set to go to the entire view. Let's just check all these are the same. Yeah, this one's behaving slightly differently, so no, but that's correct. So again, I'm losing a bit of faith myself here. I'm just going to put the home icon in there just to get through this section, and I'm going to use the global map again. Come on, maybe I can't use the global map just yet because it's already on the sheet, so let's create another one really quickly. Duplicate this one. I'm going to rename this another one. I'm going to drag this out on there and put that on there so the colors are different. I'm going to color this purple for kicks. I'm going to hide this. There we go, and we're going to give this a slightly different shape. I'm not going to be too fussed. This can be an email button, for example. Perfect. Okay, cool. Let's go. That's sheet 8. I'm going to rename the sheet. I'm going to say email icon. That's even though it's not what I called it, and I'm going to put that there. Perfect. And then I'm going to hide this. I'm going to set to fit the entire view. Alright, so there's something very funny going on because these have all spaced equally, whereas this isn't. So we're going to discover why shortly, but before we do that I'm just going to remove this image here because we no longer need these. Okay, perfect, and then I'm just going to give these equal spacing. You just sort of have to visually remember where you're going up to. There's no hints or anything. Then I'm going to come back to this and I'm going to set normal first and see what's going on with this, because I think I don't understand why. Select layout container, yeah. Edit height, reset, okay. With a fixed height and no fixed height. Select layout container again. Interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and move this layer container somewhere else. See what happens. It stays the same. Interesting. So if we go back. At this point, this is actually a good example because sometimes this happens and you can't for the life of you figure out what is going on. So remember I said all along through the tutorial, pay attention to what's going on here. So we look at the global map. It's a horizontal section. Okay. Sorry, let's select the horizontal, that again. Let's minimize that vertical, Okay, so that explains a lot. So see, what I've identified here is that this has secretly turned into a horizontal container. Remember in the very first tutorial, I said that sometimes you'll be doing something and something will change. Well, obviously along the line somewhere I missed one. I missed my own hint, and it's changed it into a horizontal, which is why there's nothing here. So to fix this, you just need to put in a horizontal section. You'll see it takes up everything. You then isolate the layout container that needs to go in it, and then put that in, and voila, we fixed that problem. So now we can just put that back there, and now they're all the same. And there you go. Because we're layout containers, sorry, we're not layout containers, because we know about how layout containers play tricks on you, you can just get around that really easily. And then just removing the legends here, and then we've got our options. Now the final step to this menu system is making it link to other sheets, but this is essentially the structure that you need. It's virtually identical, minus a few sort of nice glossy bits that I've done here. I've styled it slightly differently, but otherwise it's broadly the same. So I'm just gonna set that to slightly different font. Click OK. So you can see, yeah, that's how you change your font. That's how you change it. So I trust you can all do that. And then one thing you could do is you could edit the width here. So you could say this is 131. If you're really pernickety about the widths, you can set them all to be exactly the same. And remember, when you set this width here, this bit won't be responsive. It will always be 131 pixels. So you don't want to make this too big, otherwise on a really small screen you might find that it's taking up all your space. So I wasn't too far off with these. So now these are all perfectly aligned. Everything is there. You could put a ruler to them and they'd be all aligned. And again, if we test the responsive behavior, you can see that everything stays the same. Even the icons change. It's quite cool. And everything changes to fit. Whether you're in a big screen, to be honest, on a big screen it looks a bit too spacious, but you know, yeah, there's not much you can do about that. So maybe lock the width of the dashboard if you're really worried. So you can set a dashboard setting here of a minimum. So you say range, and I'm going to say, okay, the minimum is going to be maybe 600 pixels, and maybe I'm going to make this 350, and the max is going to be 1200 by, or maybe that's not too much, 1200, make it 1300 by 922, maybe make that 850. Let's give that some nice proportion. There you go. So yeah, the biggest the dashboard will ever be will be that size, which is nice. And then if we test our responsive behavior, it will of course change, but then at some point it gets too small and the scroll buttons appear. So that's basically now too small for the screen because that was its minimum size, and it's changed. And again, if we test that vertically, I think we'll get a scroll bar vertically, or maybe not. There we go. I set it at some really low size. There's actually a great post by a colleague of mine, Andy, who talks about dashboard sizes, so I'll link that up at the end of this post as a bonus section. So great, we've created this option. Now we need to really quickly show you how to link to a particular dashboard using this. And the way to do it, we've already got a dashboard here. It's not a great one, but if you, for example, had sheets in all of these, you would realize that what you can do is you can do an action. It's a filter action, and it comes from the icons. And so this one's going to go from this first one, the global map. I'm going to link that to this dashboard, this first dashboard. So I'm going to isolate that. So when I click the global map, please take me to dashboard 1. And I click the selection, and I'm going to call this go to dashboard 1. It's always good to label your filter actions when you do this, because then you know what they're about without having to go into all of them. So you click OK and click OK again, and now when I click on that, it takes me to the first dashboard. And basically you repeat that process until you've got them on every page. On this particular page, what you would do though is maybe you want to go back to the home page, and so this layout container is actually coloured now. If I just format that so that it's not, that happens. And now I'm going to bring the home icon back in. I'm going to do everything we did before. I'm going to remove the legend that comes with it. I'm going to center it. I'm going to fit the entire image, and then you get this icon. And then basically if you do dashboard icons again, if this would actually click, yes, there we go. Add an action filter, again selection, and I want that to go to dashboard 2, and I don't want it to go to any specific sheet. The action will still work, so I'm going to say go back to home page and click OK. Click OK again, and I'm back. So I can go to this page, that page, this page, that page. Cool. So that's it. That's how to create this menu system. Sorry I haven't spent enough time sort of just styling it and making it look nice, but hopefully I've taken you through the fundamentals that you need in order to build this. A lot of you have been asking for that. If you have questions, feel free to get in touch with me by email or Twitter, whatever you're comfortable with. And yeah, hopefully this 3-part series has helped you work with layout containers and come up with new ways of interacting with stuff. And hopefully, who knows, maybe in future versions this will be a lot easier, so you can create a menu interface without having to use I guess the visualization part of it. Maybe you can use a layout functionality, a bit like storyboards actually. Story points have sort of taken on this layout, I guess, what do you want to call it, layout role within Tableau to guide you through a story. It would be great if we had the same thing, but actually it was just a menu interface creation, so you could just tell Tableau, I'd like to create a menu interface without having to use sheets, because the downside of this process is that I've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 visualizations on the sheet, and if you have 2 or 3 other views, these are actually slowing you down. And so maybe if you've got maybe 4 or 5 sheets, it's about okay, and on a good machine or a well run server, this shouldn't cause you problems. But on some complicated workbooks with lots of links and lots of things going on, you will start to notice performance issues, and it will slow you down. But if it's absolutely essential you need a menu system that's different from the tabbing one, then here it is. Cool. Thanks for watching, and hopefully see you soon.